Hey everyone, this is Kevin from the chesswebsite.com, and today we're going to be looking at a nice little tactic called the X-ray. And the X-ray can be used in a few different ways, and we're going to take a look at quite a few examples today so you're familiar with some of the ways you can use it. But an X-ray really is when you're attacking a piece and you're attacking something behind that piece or pawn, depending on the situation. But you're attacking something and indirectly you're attacking something else. So let's go ahead and take a look at this example. If you can see here, and we're going to look at Y, but the bishop on F3 is attacking the bishop on D5, and at the same time it's indirectly attacking this pawn on B7. A lot of amateurs, if they're starting out and they want to take away this defender, first you always want to take away a defender, so this bishop is defending this pawn on B7. A lot of beginners will take this bishop on D5, and after the knight takes on D5, our knight's going to capture on B7. But then black can come to C3 and equalize here, and both sides have 4 pawns, and white didn't really get a huge advantage there. But if we use an X-ray, we'll go ahead and take a look at this position again. We can actually first, instead of taking with our bishop on D5, we can first take knight takes on B7, and we can do this because again our bishop is attacking this B7 square indirectly, meaning that if the bishop now takes on B7, then we can capture with our bishop on B7, and now the knight on F6 hasn't moved and we're up a pawn. If black were to instead take our bishop on F3, that's completely fine. We can take with our king on F3 and we're still up that pawn that we took. So it's very important to look at these things where instead of always looking to remove the defender, notice what is behind the defender. In this case, behind this defender is the pawn on B7. So we know that our bishop on F3 is not only attacking this bishop on D5, but it's indirectly attacking this B7 and protecting whatever piece comes to this. In this case, our knight is going to come to this square on B7. So it's indirectly defending our knight after we take on B7. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few more examples so you're more familiar with how X-rays can be used in your own games. Let's take a look at this example here, and it's black's move, and black has a nice little X-ray that he can set up. So if you want to take a minute, just pause the video and see if you can find it yourself. But if we look at white's threats here, he has a few threats. One, he can capture with E times D5. He can move up his pawn to E5, putting a lot of pressure on the black central control. So black wants to set up an X-ray to take away all of the threats that white has in the center. And he can do this by bringing his queen to H4, which was played in the actual game. And here, the queen on H4 is X-raying this pawn on D4. Remember, we're indirectly attacking a pawn or a piece in an attack. So if the white pawn on E4 would come to E5 or would capture on D5, the black queen can capture on D4, capturing this pawn on D4, and at the same time checking the king on G1, which would allow black to not only take center control away, but gain material in the process. So this is the way that black was able to see the position that white had and use a great X-ray for his advantage so white cannot continue with his plan. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few more examples of an X-ray. Take a look at this example. It's black's move, and see if you can set up a nice little X-ray for black. You can pause it if you want to take a minute. But hopefully you came up with the move pawn to G5. If you take a look at this before, you can see that black has an X-ray actually on the white king on H2. So we're going to try to exploit that weakness that white has. And we're going to start off by playing pawn to G5. In the actual game that this was played, white captured on G5, and then black played pawn to H4. And this does a couple things. White cannot recapture with his pawn on H4 because then black can come in and capture this rook on F4. He can't capture with his rook because then black can come capture on g3, check the king on h2, and then take the rook on h4. So what we've done is we've noticed the weakness, the x-ray that we have on the white king, knowing that this pawn can't move because of our pin that we have down on it. And so black's going to have a very, very good game after he plays h4. It's just a brutal move for white to try to counter against. So we'll go ahead and take a look at a few more examples of how you can use an x-ray in your game. Let's take a look at our last example here, and it's white's move, and see if you can find a nice little x-ray that white has. And hopefully you came up with the move queen to b3. And what this does is it indirectly attacks this pawn on b7. We're attacking the bishop on b4, so that's the first priority that black has, is to make sure that that's not taken. If he tries to move his bishop away, then we can right away take with our pawn on b7. That pawn that we're capturing with is protected by our queen on b3. If black tries to hold on to his bishop with the move, let's say pawn to a5, then we can use a nice little tactic we talked about before, and that's just removing the defender with the move pawn to a3. We're now attacking this bishop with our pawn. The bishop is now going to have to move, and after he moves, doesn't matter where he moves, we can now take freely on b7, capturing this pawn here, and black cannot recapture because we can take back with our queen. So you can see here, first we can't take with our pawn because then he can capture, but with our queen here on b3, we're using an x-ray to attack and defend our pawn that's going to be here eventually on the b7 square. We're going to be up material after this exchange. So these are a few ways that you can use an x-ray. A lot of times you're going to be using it as a skewer, but you're going to be indirectly attacking a square behind a piece or a pawn, depending on the situation. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Hope everyone learned another nice little tactic they can use in their own games. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the videos. If you haven't checked out the website, be sure and check it out, www.thechesswebsite.com. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next video.